Drone shot sweeps over New York City as ad executive Joe Nixon drives to work, running late while an Adweek profile calls him the man behind the magic. Joe video calls his girlfriend Jennifer, a well-known physician, and the two banter warmly about her night at the hospital, his good mood over a glowing press write-up. In the car, Jennifer reads a bizarre stray text aloud. Joe jokes his way past it before they trade goodbyes and hang up, still clearly in love. Joe arrives at his ad agency to cheers from coworkers. Assume he is about to be named Chief Creative Officer, including his eager young colleague Bari. Bari shows Joe a strangers group chat he was randomly added to. 5 guys are announcing a Miami bachelor party for their friend Mason and roasting a member named Hunter. Amused, Joe hijacks the chat himself, teases the broke group about their budget, sends them $200 for their first round of drinks as a joke. Strangers are charmed by the surprise cash and start inviting Joe to Miami for real, right as Bari reminds him his big pitch presentation is starting. Joe pitches a slick Gen Z targeted ad concept to the room. The young staff react with cringing silence instead of the excitement he was hoping for. Agency head Terry pulls Joe aside and says his last few campaigns, including a widely mocked Fanta ad, have completely missed with younger audiences. Terry warns that if Joe cannot land the unlimited vodka account, the board wants to replace him as Chief Creative Officer with a younger up-and-comer named Daniel. Desperate, Joe begs for one more shot. Terry agrees to give him exactly 72 hours to bring in the unlimited deal or lose his job entirely. At the bar afterward, Bari suggests Joe use his new access to the group chat. He could study real Gen Z partying habits firsthand for the pit. Joe fishes for a real invite to the Miami bachelor party by offering to cover the entire trip. The group instantly says yes once money is on the table. At home, Jennifer notices Joe packing a bag and kneeling by his suitcase. For a moment, she thinks he's about to propose marriage. Joe explains he's actually flying to Miami to crash a stranger's bachelor party for work. Jennifer's excitement collapses into stunned disbelief. Hurt and humiliated, Jennifer tells Joe she hopes he enjoys the trip, storms toward the door as their relationship fractures right before he leaves. Joe leaves for the airport anyway as the door slams behind him, choosing the pitch over patching things up with Jennifer in the moment. Joe lands in Miami and calls Jennifer's voicemail, admitting he feels weird about how they left things, telling her he loves her before hanging up. At the lavish rental mansion, Joe meets the bachelor party crew in person for the first time: best man Nick, groom Mason, heartbroken Hunter, and goofy freshman who all joke about his age. Struck by the mansion's size, the group runs through the property celebrating their lavish rental like kids, lays out a night of partying and bad decisions. At night, Joe hands out expensive liquor as a peace offering. The guys needle him for buying so much before grudgingly admitting they appreciate it. Seen by the group, the mansion's real owner Jay's. His security team watch hidden footage of a renter snooping in a locked closet, foreshadowing trouble. At the liquor store, Joe grills Hunter about drug habits, swaps cheating ex-stories with the group while stocking up for the party bus. On the party bus, the group launches into an aggressive drinking game, chugging shots and daring each other to keep pace with Joe's competitive energy. Later, the group holds a mock emotional check-in before heading out, and freshman earnestly declares that he simply feels Miami. Buying more clothes on the strip that night, Joe spots what he thinks is a police officer, panics near a cash machine, sparking a chaotic misunderstanding. The officer accuses Joe of soliciting the younger men. Chaos erupts. Freshman yells for a distraction he calls a loop-de-loop as everyone scatters and Joe is chased down a dark street. Back at the mansion, a shaken Joe reviews footage on a laptop, realizing the chaotic night has produced surprisingly authentic content for his pit. Ari secretly slips the hidden camera glasses and necklace into Joe's bag over the phone, coaching him to keep filming the group without their knowledge. Joe apologizes for the police scare and, determined to make it up to everyone, promises to charter a yacht for the rest of the group's stay. Wearing a bright robe, Joe tells freshmen about the yacht plan. The group's mood instantly brightens at the idea of a boat party. Walking the marina in loud vacation shirts, the group flirts with women on the docks, searching for the yacht Joe promised to book. Yacht booking falls through, so Joe smooth talks a bouncer using a fake name. He sneaks the whole group aboard someone else's party yacht instead. Once aboard, the group toasts to Mason's wedding, while Hunter sulks about his recent breakup. A waiter arrives with a bottle of unlimited vodka for another round. As the toasts continue, Mason quietly pulls Joe aside and admits marrying his fiancée feels like an enormous, life-altering step. Joe reassures him that cold feet are completely normal. Wandering the yacht in search of food, Joe is pulled into a locked room by armed crew, accuse him of secretly being an undercover police officer. Yacht owner Jays demands Joe do cocaine to prove he isn't a cop. A terrified Joe reluctantly agrees rather than risk getting hurt. Drug hits Joe hard and Jay's crew watch in amazement. He transforms in front of them into a swaggering, thickly accented alter ego. Fully consumed by his new persona, Joe declares himself Ricardo Montana and picks a loud, escalating fight with a rival tough guy at the party. Brawl spirals into slapstick chaos as Ricardo trades blows, slams his rival through furniture while the horrified guys watch it unfold. Fight spills outside and Ricardo leads a frantic escape on horseback through the streets. A cheering crowd hails him as King of Miami. Cocaine finally wears off, leaving a disoriented Joe unaware that Ricardo he accidentally stole crates of cocaine hidden aboard the yacht. Back at the mansion, Nick pulls Joe aside and awkwardly asks him to sit out that night's plans, worried the older outsider is edging him out of Mason's life. At a restaurant dinner, Nick hands Joe the group's treasured childhood scrapbook. Tearfully, he declares Joe an honorary member of their circle of friends. At night, dressed to impress, the crew heads to a nightclub. Joe coaches an awkward Hunter on how to approach women on the dance floor. The group meets a bachelorette party led by a woman named Scarlett, who pairs off with a nervous Hunter as introductions turn flirtatious fast. Women invite the whole group to another club in their stretch limo. After a quick vote, the guys eagerly agree to tag along. Jennifer calls Joe just as a woman's voice rings out in the background. His fumbling excuses only make her more suspicious before she coldly hangs up on him. Mason comforts a rattled Joe in the limo, running him through a viral online quiz about commitment that convinces Joe he truly does love Jennifer. Squeezed into the crowded pink limo, everyone celebrates with the women. The party atmosphere shifts into high gear for the night ahead. Women keep the drinks flowing with round after round of shots. One by one, the guys start slurring and slipping toward unconsciousness. Group wakes up at sunrise stranded on an unfamiliar beach, robbed of their phones, wallets, and the group's cherished memory scrapbook, and argues over what to do next. Wandering the tiny island, the guys spot a fishing boat offshore and flag it down. An old fisherman agrees to take the stranded group aboard. Below deck, the group discovers the boat's hold packed with mysterious sealed crates rather than fish. Freshman notices the writing on them. Revealed to be a hyperpolyglot who reads several languages, translates the Japanese labels, and realizes the crates are full of smuggled whale parts. A Coast Guard helicopter suddenly swoops in to board the boat. Gunfire erupts as the smugglers panic and abandon ship, leaving the group alone on deck. The group swims to shore clutching the smugglers' buoyant contraband. A jellyfish sting sends them scrambling for a bizarre makeshift remedy. Back on the beach, an emotional Mason thanks Joe for keeping everyone calm during the ordeal. Formally invites him to attend his real wedding. Meanwhile, drug boss Jay's crew trace the rental records and identify exactly mansion Ricardo Montana has been staying in, vowing revenge. Back at the mansion, Joe opens his laptop and the group gathers behind him, discovering he secretly filmed them all weekend with the hidden glasses and necklace for an ad pitch. Furious at being exploited for a marketing campaign, the group erupts, calling Joe manipulative and accusing him of treating their friendship as content. Freshman, previously Joe's biggest fan, tells him he no longer feels Miami and walks away crushed, while Nick and Hunter pile on with the same anger. Mason tells Joe he needs to leave, and a defeated Joe grabs his belongings, walks out of the mansion alone as the group turns its back on him. Sitting alone at a bar processing the fallout, Joe spots the con women. Rob, the group casually drinking nearby, and realizes he can make things right. Joe bursts into the women's group to warn a nearby bachelorette party not to drink anything they're offered, exposing the crew as serial robbers. Wild brawl breaks out as Joe fights to reclaim the group's stolen scrapbook, chasing the getaway limo through the streets to get it back. After a chaotic scuffle inside the moving limo, Joe finally rips the scrapbook free from the women, escapes with it held triumphantly overhead. Joe returns to the mansion with the recovered scrapbook, only to find Freshman in a panic, mistaking him for drug dealers coming to attack. Freshman reveals armed men have kidnapped Mason over a stolen cocaine shipment, giving the group until 8 o'clock to return the drugs or Mason dies. Searching the mansion, the group discovers the missing cocaine hidden inside the jet skis. Joe stole them from the yacht during his Ricardo rampage. Panicking over how to negotiate, the group realizes the kidnappers will only speak with Ricardo Montana. That means Joe has to get high all over again. Reluctantly, Joe snorts more cocaine as the group cheers him on, desperate to transform back into Ricardo in time to save Mason's life. As Ricardo again, Joe calls the kidnappers and bluffs that he has partnered with the Yakuza, forcing Freshman to improvise fake Japanese on speakerphone. Bluff terrifies the drug boss into agreeing to straight trade cocaine for Mason, and he texts over the location for a nighttime exchange. The group dresses in flashy new outfits to sell the Ricardo persona, psyching themselves up before heading out to the exchange point after dark. In a rain-soaked parking garage, Ricardo and the boss square off face to face. Their crews hold Mason and the cocaine as leverage on either side. Drug boss recognizes the clothes Ricardo is wearing as his late father's and, enraged, pulls a gun and demands to know who Ricardo Montana really is. Cornered at gunpoint, Joe drops the act entirely, confessing he's not a kingpin at all, just a scared 40-year-old, and begs the boss to take it out on him instead of his young friends. Unexpectedly moved, the grieving drug boss breaks down crying, telling Joe he reminds him painfully of his own late father, then embraces him warmly. Boss introduces his own adult son, urges Joe to prioritize the people he loves most, releases Mason unharmed, and lets the whole group leave peacefully. Relieved and laughing, the reunited group drives away from the mansion together. The earlier rift between Joe and the guys clearly mended. Days later, back in New York, an exhausted Joe naps on the flight home while Bari, still riding high on the pitch's success, works the office. Jennifer waits in a park near their apartment, and Joe rushes to find her. determined to make things right after everything that happened in Miami. Joe tells Jennifer the whole wild weekend made him realize she matters more than any promotion, that he's ready to leave the agency and start his own company to be closer to her. Jennifer accepts and the two reconcile with a heartfelt kiss, their relationship stronger than it was before Joe ever left for Miami. Weeks later, the whole group reunites in Miami for Mason's actual wedding, with Joe now fully embraced as a true member of their friend's circle. At the reception, an overeager Barry shows up trying to pitch an expanded ad campaign. Joe firmly shuts him down to enjoy the celebration with Jennifer. The group closes out the wedding with one last emotional check-in, joking and celebrating together as true friends who came through it all intact.